Welcome back to digital class, and now we're looking at PSLE last minute revision set number C, and now we're looking at this question from Hong paper 1 question 13. Okay, let's look at this question. Again, this question, honestly speaking, is nothing tricky, but I'm just choosing this question because I want to remind you again on some of the basic things about circle. Here say that this figure or the figure is made out of two identical semicircle. Now, again, when you see the word identical, this supposed to be a very important keyword, reminding you that these two are actually almost the same semicircle. And the radius is 21 meter. So if this is radius, then this of course will be also the radius. And this will of course also be the radius because they are identical. And now they are asking us to find the perimeter of the figure in terms of pi. Again, perimeter means all the outer length, okay? And I have this part 21, this part 21. So what I need to find is only the both curved part, okay? The arc, okay? And I know that this arc plus this arc basically is this semicircle arc, add together is actually basically the circumference. So I just need to find the circumference, then it will be represent this and this. Okay. So what's the formula of the circumference? Pi d. So pi, what is the pi value here? Again, the question used the word in terms of pi. So it means that we don't need to find out what is the value of pi here and times with the diameter. Again, the radius is 21. So the diameter will be 2 times, which is 42. So times 42. So I know it's actually 42 pi. Means that here plus here is actually 42 pi. And I need to plus this part 21 and this part 21. So 21 plus 21. And as you know, is 42 pi plus 42. And that's it. That is basically the answer, which is option number 4. Okay, nothing tricky, just a quick reminder on the formula, and again with the word in terms of pi. Again, in terms of pi means you don't need to know the value of pi, and we keep this as it is. Okay. Now, just a quick reminder. Okay, don't add this and this together. Okay, you can't add them together because this is with pi, this is without pi. Okay, they are not alike terms. Okay, they are unlike terms. So let's move on to our next question, and our next question is from ACS paper 1 question 28. Honestly speaking, again, this is not a very difficult question, but it's a question that many students like you might make mistake of. Okay, this question here says that during the sales, the store give a store-wide discount of 20%. Okay, there is a discount 20%. They will sign up as a member and receive an additional 10% discount on the discounted price. He pays $7.20 for the coffee machine, and what was the total amount of the discount? Many of you, I'm going to tell you this is wrong, this is wrong, but many of you might got disturbed and thought, oh, 20%, additional 10% discount. So add together is 30% discount. And you say, oh, 30% discount means I pay for 70%. So you use, oh, 70% equal to 720. Find out 100% or 30% is equal to what? But this is wrong, okay? Because the keyword here that is very important is discounted price. Means that this 10% is on the discounted price, not the original price. I mean, perhaps you can do 10 plus 20 if this is on the original discount. But unfortunately, this is on the discounted price, okay? So you need to understand that there's a 20% discount at first, right? Then minus 10% discount, then this is what you need to pay. Okay. So the first thing you should understand that at the end you pay 720, right? So that is actually 10% on the discounted price. Then means that you actually pay 90% of the discounted price. So perhaps what you are supposed to do is 720 divided by 90 times 100. Okay, because 10% on the discounted price. So this is 90% of the discounted price. So if you times 100, you find the discounted price. And if you press, you can use calculator. So just simplify, you know it's 800. This is the discounted price. And you know this discounted price is actually 80% of what has been discounted, right? So if you want to find the original amount, so you're supposed to divide by 80 and times 100. And if you simplify, and I think it's very simple, basically it's 1000. And this is the original amount without discount. And again, the question now is asking, what's the total amount of his discount? Again, amount means the money. Initially, he's supposed to pay 1000, but he only pays 720. So the total amount of discount is what you need to minus here, and that will be equal to $280. And you are done for this question. Okay, nothing tricky, simple. Again, just that you don't confuse and don't forget the word discounted price. Okay, that actually makes a lot of you get it wrong. So let's move on to our next question. The same question from same school, ACSJA, but now it's paper 1 question 30. Now, Lisha used 16 identical right angle triangles tiles to form a rectangle. The perimeter of the rectangle, so means that the perimeter of the whole thing here is 80 cm. Find the area of one triangle. Okay, so perhaps the first thing that you should notice here is, if, example, this is a triangle, I name here as 1 unit. So here will be 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. Then can you tell me what is the unit here? You should notice by now is actually 3 unit. Why? Because this is basically here, right? And you can see 3 unit represent here. So here is 3 unit. So I know here is 3 unit. I know here is 1 unit. I know here is 3 unit. And you know that this plus this times 2 is actually the perimeter. And again, you should know it's identical, right? That's why all these things works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 unit plus 1 plus 3, 4 unit times 2. So I know total is 20 unit. And 20 unit is actually 80 cm. So 1 unit is actually 4 cm. So if this is a triangle, here is 4 cm. Here, 3 unit, it will be 12 cm. So here's 12 cm. So how to find the area of a triangle? Half times base times height. And the answer is 24 cm square. Okay, nothing tricky, but that is basically how this works. Okay, just remind you again, when it comes to question like this is what you are supposed to do. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, and that will be from CHS paper 2, question 7. This is actually an angle question. This question will be serving as a very good reminder also for us to try this out. Okay, so in the figure, ABC is an isosceles triangle. Again, isosceles triangle means what? Means that two of the sides are actually the same length. That's why the angle will be over the same also. So A, B, C. And again, which two are the same? We cannot assume. The question tells us AB equal to BC. Means that the length here and the length here will be the same. The angle here and the angle here will also be the same. Okay, next part, BDEC is a parallelogram. So BDEC, so this is a parallelogram, means that this and this are parallel, this and these are parallel. And with that, you should also know the angle here and the angle here is actually 142. And the angle here plus the angle here should give you 180. So perhaps it's good. Let us just try to find out what is the angle here first. 180 minus 142. Just press on the calculator and you should get is 38. So here's 38. And maybe it's good to find out what is the angle here. and here. So 180 minus 48 divided by 2. So you just press the calculator and you should get 66. So here is 66. And of course, the whole thing here is 66. But perhaps that's not my main goal to find here, because if you look carefully, this actually forms a triangle here. Can you see here? Means that this 53 plus 66 plus 58 plus the angle here should gives you actually 180. So what am I trying to do now is to find out what is the angle here. Because this plus this plus this plus this is 180, right? So 180 minus 53 minus 66 minus 38. And if you press on the calculator, you should get 23 degree. So here's 23. And now my goal is to look for FED. FED means here. And if I know the whole thing here is 140, here is 23. And of course, I can just find it very easily. 142 minus 23 degree, and that gives me 119. And yes, I'm done for question number 7. Okay, good job. And let's move on to the next question. And the next question will be from I Tong, paper 2, question 16. Okay, it's actually a 1, 2, 3, 5 marks question. Okay, but it's divided into section A, B, and C. Let's look at this question. 3 girls, Mabel, Candy, Lillian, had the same number of coins. Okay, they have same number of coins, and Mabel had only 20-cent coins. This guy have only 20-cent coin. Candy and Lillian each had a mix of 20-cent and $1 coin. Candy had 36 $1 coins, and Lillian had 13 $1 coins. Of the 3 girls, who had the least and who had the most amount of money? I think nothing tricky. This Mabel only have 20-cent coins, and the rest have a mix of 20 and $1 cent coins. I mean, perhaps, and they have the same number of coins. So, I mean, obviously, Mabel, the one with only 20-cent coins, have the least amount of money, right? So, nothing tricky here. This is Mabel. Then, between Candy and Lillian, who actually has the most amount of money? I mean, perhaps Candy, because she has 36 $1 coins, while Lillian only have 13. So, I know it's Candy. Okay, nothing tricky, and let's move on. Part B. Candy used half of her $1 coins. So Candy now have 36, right? If she use half of her $1 coin, perhaps that means, let me just write B here, okay, just for my convenience sake. So 36 divided by 2 means 18. So she want to use $18, okay, to do something. And some of her 20-cent coins means that plus another part of 20-cent coins to buy a book that costs $20.40. How many 20-cent coins did Candy use? Okay, so perhaps I will just use $20.40 minus $18, and I know that is actually $2.40. And this is the amount that she used 20-cent coins to pay. Okay, but how many 20-cent coins? Just use 240 divided by 20 cent. Then I will know the number of coins, which is 12. Okay, and that will be 12 coins, and that is part B. So nothing tricky. The main part perhaps is for you to think. Okay, and question C. Let's look at question C. What was the difference in total value of Mabel and Lillian coins? Okay, so let's look at Mabel. Mabel actually have what? Only have 20-cent coin. Okay, only 20-cent coins. All 20-cent coins. Lillian have mix of 20-cent coins and some maybe how many let me just check. 13 $1 coins. So 13 $1 coin. And the question now is asking you to find a difference in the total value. So now, if we look carefully, right, actually, because they have the same number of coins, Mabel and Lillian, as stated in the first sentence of the question, means that the only part where there is a difference is this 13 $1 coins. At this part will be 13 20-cent coin. Do you get what I'm trying to say? For example, now Mabel, this is Lillian. This is the number of coins. This is number of coins. This is 13. Example, this is 20-cent coin, right? This is $1 coin. So this one is all 20-cent coin. But of course, there will be a part that is different. This part and this part is the same value. But this part will be different. Mabel, 13 cent, the 13 20-cent actually is about 2.6 $2.6 only. But Lillian, this part is actually $13. So what is the difference between these two? So the difference will be $13 minus 2.6, which is 10.4. Basically means there's a difference of $10.40 in terms of the value here. Okay? Yes, and we are done for this question. It's not a very hard question, but I noticed that after I looked through different papers from different school, I noticed that the idea of about coins and the value, something like this, is actually kind of commonly used in many schools. So it's something good to take note and perhaps to try to learn and practice more about this question. Okay? Let's move on to our last question here. And that is from ACSJ paper 2, question 16. And I believe my students, when you look at this kind of this diagram, you know immediately this is the concept that what we learned for what for what comes to the proportion concept. Now, but this question is slightly trickier. That's why I bring this up. So let's try to look at this question. At a bookshop, eraser are sold only in packs of 8. That's why it's 8 for something. And pencil are only sold in packs of 5. And perhaps the first thing that you guys would try to do is to write down eraser 8 $2. Pencil 5 for $3. Now, before we're reading the next part of the question, always we know that questions will either make 8 and 5 to be the same, they bought the same number of eraser and pencil, or they spend the same amount on eraser and pencil, something like this, right? But this question is slightly different by saying that this person bought eraser and pencil for his company. But again, this is the main part here. He spent 1 out of 3 of his money on eraser and the rest of his money on pencil. Look at here, 1 out of 3 of his money on eraser. Means that eraser will be 1 unit. The total is 3 unit. But pencil is how many unit? 3 minus 1, which is 2 unit. Means that eraser and pencil, the amount he spent on eraser, amount, this is amount, means that the money part is 1 to 2. What we always try to practice in our booklet is always make it the same. But this round is not. But it's in 1 to 2. But here is what the amount is 2 and 3. So what we are trying to do now is we need to make this 2 and this 3 to become in a way that is actually in the ratio of 1 to 2. And perhaps it's good for us to just list down 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 3 to 6, 4 to 8, 5 to 10, 6 to 12, and you can move on, can continue. Now, which numbers is actually the best for us to make it into, so that it's kind of easily to compare? You see, this is 2, right? So 1, this one for sure cannot lah. 2, 4, cannot, right? It's 2, 3 now. Can 2 make into 3? A bit hard. So Not possible. 2, how to make it 4? Can. Can 3 make into 8? Cannot. Can 2 make into 5? Cannot. 3 cannot. Can 2 make into 6? Can, right? Can 3 make into 12? Can, right? Means that this will be the best number for us to actually use to put it here. So 2 times 3 to become 6. So if I times 3 here, I times 3 here. 3, I times 4 become 12. So if I times 4 here, I times 4 here. So means that I actually can kind of say 24, $6. 20, $12. Now I actually matches the requirement here. He spent 1/3 of his money on eraser and the rest of his money on pencil. Means I met the requirement here already. But is this the number of eraser that he bought and pencil he bought? We're not sure, right? We only met the first requirement. Now the second requirement here says what? He bought 36 more eraser than pencil. 36. Okay, now we are talking about the number of eraser and pencil, not the amount anymore. Eraser, I bought 24. Pencil, I bought 20. So eraser, how many more than pencil? Eraser, it's actually only 4 more. But here say how many more? 36 more. Means that the amount or the numbers here that we have is actually how many times lesser than what is actually expected. 36, we divide by 4, and we know it's actually 9 times lesser than what we expected. Means that as long as I times 9 here, I find the real number of the eraser that he bought. If times 9 here, I know the exact amount that he spent on eraser. I times 9 here, I know the exact number of pencil that he buy. And if I times 9 here, I know the exact amount he spent on pencil. Okay, but now let's read the question, the main part. How much did Mr. Tan spend altogether? Means that I need to find the amount here and the real amount here and here, and add together. Okay, so what I need to do is 6 plus 12, and I times 9. Of course, you want to times 9 here, then add together also can. So it's 18 times 9, and the answer is 162. $sign 162. And that basically is the answer for this question. Okay, so nothing tricky, but is a very nice question for us to try, just for us to get used to this way of thinking rather than always make it the same. Okay, anyway, I hope you actually learned something from this set C video, and I really hope that you can do more revision and do your best in your PSLE. Okay, that's all from me today. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.